Hello, I'm James, and I want to share with you a recent day trip I took from my home base at Raleigh International Airport in North Carolina to a wonderful seaside town called Ocracoke, North Carolina. I flew with two other pilots that day because I enjoyed the conversation and the inevitable joking back and forth while en route. It's a great pleasure to share this fun with two guys who have similar interests. I enjoy putting together videos of some of my more interesting flights, but I haven't done one in a while, and I get lots of questions from friends who've seen them. So I've decided to do another video of this day trip we made from Raleigh, North Carolina to Ocracoke, North Carolina. In previous videos that I posted to YouTube, I just show some interesting highlights and shots of a flight. Sometimes I would add music, sometimes not. And the only audio you would hear would be air traffic control communications or conversation between me and the passengers. This time, I wanted to do something different. So I'm going to narrate a little about some of the things you'll see in this video and discuss why I did certain things, like the route I chose to fly, why I flew this beautiful day under instrument flight rules instead of visual flight rules, and the like. You'll still hear air traffic control and cockpit conversations. Now, don't expect a Steven Spielberg video or Oscar quality dialogue with memorable wisecracks. I'm not there just yet. But feel free to tell me what you think in the comments section. Also, the purpose of this video is not to instruct. I am not a flight instructor, but I do want to share some of the things we experienced and a lesson learned while en route. Pilots are always learning. I also wanted to share some of the great things we did on Ocracoke. You should plan to visit the island on the North Carolina coast. So I hope you enjoy this video. So let's get rolling. Now, Raleigh International Airport is a Class C airport. That means our flight starts with getting a clearance from Raleigh Air Traffic Control Clearance. That lets ATC know we are ready to go and have the approved route, initial altitudes, and transponder codes so they can track our progress. Even after receiving a clearance, if in doubt, it's best to call back because, like me, ATC is really a human being at the other end of the microphone, and we both make mistakes. But we both follow the process for identifying and rectifying those mistakes. Case in point for this flight was getting my IFR clearance from Raleigh, North Carolina to Ocracoke, North Carolina. Ocracoke is referred to here as Whiskey 95. ATC cleared me but forgot to include a key flyover point over the Michael J. Smith Airport to avoid a trip over the water. He could have just said the term "then as filed," but he read the entire routing, forgetting to include that key waypoint. After accepting the clearance, I realized the mistake and cleared it up with a second call to Raleigh clearance. That's when I got everything that I was looking for.
Good morning, Raleigh clearance, 711 Charlie Golf.
Cirrus 711 Charlie Golf, looking for IFR to Whiskey 95.
Roger.
Cirrus 711 Charlie Golf, clear to Whiskey 95, either Raleigh 1 departure, expect radar vectors to Kinston and then direct. Maintain 2,000, expect 7,000, 10 minutes after departure. Frequencies 125.3, squawk 5333.
Okay, clear to Ocracoke via the Raleigh 1, then Kingston, then direct. Climb and maintain 2,000, expect 7 in 10 minutes. Frequency 125.3, score 5333, 711 Charlie Golf.
Cirrus 711 Charlie Golf, rebadge correct, date is Whiskey is current, have a great day.
Whiskey is current, 711 Charlie Golf. He said direct.
Kinston, then direct, yeah.
Direct from Kingston, we're going to bypass that?
I mean, you could ask, because you had something else you had.
Yeah, no, you got to go to Michael J. Smith, because I want to avoid that over water route.
Right. call him back?
Yeah, I'm going to call him back.
Golf with you at 1,300 up to 2,000.
One Charlie Golf, clarification, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned Raleigh 1, then Kingston, and then direct to Ocracoke. We had, to avoid the water route, heading over Michael J. Smith, then direct to Ocracoke. Can we do that?
Yeah, my mistake. I wasn't paying attention to what I was saying there. Cirrus SR22 Charlie Golf. Yeah, Kinston, then Mike Romeo Hotel, then direct. That's better clearance.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's Raleigh 1, Kingston, Michael J. Smith, then direct to Ocracoke 701 Charlie Golf.
Oh, you got it. Thanks for checking.
All right.
Raleigh International is a growing Class C airport. Matter of fact, there are plans to make it a Super C-class airport with expanded airspace corridors to better control and protect the instrument approach paths to the field. You know there are 20 airlines serving Raleigh International? That includes Alaska, Avelo, Breeze, Southwest, Spirit, Sun Country Airlines, Aeromexico, Air Canada, Air France, American Airlines, Bermuda Air, Copa Airlines. Copa? They should call that Copacabana. Anyway, Delta Airlines, Frontier, Icelander, JetBlue, Lufthansa, WestJet, and United. It's no wonder they plan to make Raleigh a Super C-class airport.
Yeah, but everybody's been flying to 5.
He's starting to turn. Yeah, it's 2-3 left now.
I like operating here because it keeps my radio skills sharp, working with ground, tower, then departure controllers, as you'll hear in this video segment.
Morning, Raleigh Ground, Cirrus 701 Charlie Golf at Juliet 2, ready to taxi.
Cirrus 711 Charlie Golf, Raleigh Ground, runway 23 left. Taxi via Juliet, hold short Alpha 7, straight out and follow the Emperor.
Okay, 2-3 left by Juliet. No, you want me to follow the jet in front of me?
We're going to follow him.
Okay, we're going to follow him, 711 Charlie Golf. That's not Juliet, that's Alpha.
7 clear 5 right and Alpha 4 going to Atlantic.
So here we are, talking to ground controllers, taxiing to the active runway 23 left, which was just changed a few moments ago from the opposite direction, 5 right. Matter of fact, planes were still taking off in the opposite direction as we were following that jet just ahead of us over to 23 left. Check out that Southwest 737 taking off in the opposite direction.
Raleigh Tower, Cirrus 701 Charlie Golf, ready to depart 2-3 left.
711 Charlie Golf Tower, be jet second for departing traffic prior to you.
Roger.
So we're about to get clearance from tower to take off. Then we'll contact departures soon thereafter, and we'll be on our way to Ocracoke.
711 Charlie Golf Tower, showing turbulence, flighting 160, runway 23 left, clear takeoff, wind calm.
Fly heading 16071 Charlie Golf, clear to take off 23 left.
Push at 403, contact departure. Contact departure, 403, see ya.
You guys ready?
Ready.
Alright. Mixers Ridge, pumps on. Clear left. Caution wake turbulence. He's going that way. I'm going to slide over that way a little bit.
We'll lift off at 70 knots, then accelerate to 120 knots, which gives us about a 1,000 foot per minute climb rate.
Flaps up.
Charlie Golf, contact departure,
Going to departure, 71 Charlie Golf.
Number 23, clear for the visual approach, 23 right, contact 127.45 per day.
Good morning, Raleigh departure 071 Charlie Golf, climbing 2,000. 1,200, climbing 2,000.
Number 711 Charlie Golf, Raleigh departure, radar contact, climb maintain 7,000.
Clear to direct Kingston, climb 7,000, 701 Charlie Golf. Cool. That's basically it, man.
JetBlue 2285 Raleigh approach, ATIS X-rays now.
Check out this motley crew of pilots, especially that one in the back seat already sleeping. That's always a sign of a smooth flight and excellent flying skills of the pilot. So, why did I elect to fly over land and not the shorter over water route? Well, it's a safer option. The over water portion of the trip is about 27 miles over the Pamlico Sound. I didn't want to have to worry about gliding 14 miles or so from the middle of that over water segment if I had an engine failure, especially when descending to land at Ocracoke. And the water route is not that much shorter as compared to the land route. It's about 20 miles shorter, or about 8 minutes, depending upon the prevailing winds. And the land route is more scenic. Instead of just a water view, I preferred flying up north, up the chain of islands that lead to Ocracoke.
First notch of flaps.
Now that's a beautiful sight.
Ocracoke traffic, Cirrus 701 Charlie Golf at 3,000 inbound 06, straight in. 10-mile final, Ocracoke traffic.
For this trip, I chose airports as flyover points. When possible, I try to route my flight near airports just in case I need to land somewhere quickly. But on the return trip home, that introduced some confusion with Air Traffic Control, or ATC, who wondered if I intended to land at Kingston Regional Jetport in Kingston, North Carolina. I told them no. I was just passing overhead at 7,000 feet. Thank you very much. But next time, save confusion, I'll just use GPS waypoints and radio navigation aids that are near airports so that ATCs knows my intention without ever asking. And using those navigation aids added little to the total flight time and distance for this trip. So why did I elect to file instrument flight rules instead of the easier visual flight rules on a beautiful day such as this? Well, while an IFR trip is more restrictive in where you go and how you get there, a huge benefit is that you are always in contact with air traffic control, and that is something that is not necessarily guaranteed for all VFR flights. But with IFR, you are always, except in some extreme cases, in contact with ATC, getting traffic advisories, getting current altimeter settings to ensure all aircraft are at their proper altitude, and hearing the chatter with other pilots. Best of all, you don't have to request permission to enter busy airport Class B, C, and D airspace. Since you are talking to them already, they know who you are, where you are, and they know your intentions. You also don't have to worry much about unattended wanderings into active military operation areas, otherwise known as MOAs, or restricted airspace. That's because the IFR plan was already cleared by ATC. And since they are in contact with you for the entire trip, they can route you differently if and when needed to avoid hazards like live fire from aircraft or being flipped over by wake turbulence from a squad of Blue Angels as they play high-speed tag. You'll see the importance of this at the tail end of our trip. Here, you can see that our flight path goes through an alert area that surrounds the Cherry Point Marine Air Corps Air Station in Cherry Point, North Carolina. Then there is a restricted area here and a military operations area there that runs along the coastline leading to Ocracoke. Flying VFR through these areas can be hazardous to your health. Now, technically speaking, a VFR flight needs to get permission from ATC to enter an active restricted area. If the restricted area is not active, then you can go in without talking to anyone. But you got to confirm that area is not active. MOAs and alert areas are different. A VFR flight can enter a military operations or alert area without contacting ATC for permission. But that's a dangerous proposition, especially if it's active and you don't know what's lurking around in there. Going in without knowing is like being a squirrel trying to cross the Indy 500 track on race day. You probably won't see the hazard until it's too late. So being on an IFR flight that's in constant contact with ATC, who cleared you through those areas, removes a huge workload that otherwise you would have to do to ensure a safe flight. If you drove from Raleigh to Ocracoke, North Carolina at about 70 miles an hour, it would take you about 5 hours on the road, and you would also need to catch a ferry to the island. And you don't want to miss that ferry. But in the Cirrus that day, we topped out at around about 210 miles an hour ground speed with a nice tailwind to assist. Total travel time in the air was just 56 minutes. The approach was very scenic with a wonderful view of the beach as we approached Ocracoke Island Airport. As you can see, the runway runs parallel to the beach, which is about 600 feet away, and I expected some gusting crosswinds to or from the ocean, but the winds were calm, though slightly finicky. We had a smooth landing on the 3,000-foot-long, 60-foot-wide runway. No birds or squirrels got in the way. Now, the facilities at Ocracoke Island are minimum. Just 2 porta potties and a pilot's lounge, which is more like a musky room with a desk and 2 chairs. But hey, that keeps the crowds away, and there's plenty of parking. And best of all, the beach is just 600 feet away. I'll take that anytime. Now, what's there to do once you're in Ocracoke? Beach time, of course. And Ocracoke has a proper beach. Wide, clean, not crowded, and a nice surf. But we also rented a golf cart and rode around the island, visiting a historic British cemetery that honors British sailors lost just off the coast of Ocracoke after a German U-boat submarine attack during World War II. Yeah, the Nazis got that close to American cities. Then we visited a lighthouse called the Ocracoke Light Station. That's the inside of the lighthouse structure looking up to the top. And then, of course, there was lunch at a nice waterfront restaurant called Schmecknally's. It's highly recommended. Now, this picture doesn't do the place justice. It's much larger than it appears here. It is roomy and gives you a wonderful view of the harbor on the other side of the building. Best of all, the food is great. We spent about 5 hours roaming around Ocracoke. It's a great place for a day trip. And now it's time to head on back home to Raleigh. But I'm coming back to spend a few nights and get some good quality beach time. Now the winds have swung around from the west, which allows for a straightaway takeoff and climb to pick up our IFR back to Raleigh.
Flaps up, landing lights off.
The nice thing about a 1-hour flight to Ocracoke is that it took only a little over an hour to get back to Raleigh. That same tailwind became a headwind on the way back, but it didn't add much time to the trip. And the daily Carolina afternoon thermals gave us a bumpy ride back.
Oh, baby.
I've discovered that the best time to fly in smooth air is early mornings or late evenings. But as you can see, we had a smooth landing back at RDU. So I hope you enjoyed this video and some other discussions. Please let me know of any suggestions in the comments section, and be sure to like and subscribe, because 100 low lead avgas costs almost $9 a gallon at Raleigh. Yeah, I know it's half the price in Rocky Mount, but I thought I'd mention that anyway. Nevertheless, If enough of you like what you see, I'll produce more of these videos from time to time in the future. Meanwhile, fly safe, and remember, we never stop learning how to fly.
Well done, gentlemen, well done.
Yeah, that was a good flight.